हेलो बच्चों, कैसे हैं आप सब। आई होप हम सब बहुत अच्छे होंगे, मस्त होंगे, मज़े में होंगे, है ना। बहुत सारी जगहों पे तो छुट्टियां शुरू हो गई हैं और आप लोग छुट्टियां एंजॉय भी कर रहे होंगे। तो आज एक नया चैप्टर शुरू करते हैं। आज जो हम चैप्टर शुरू करने जा रहे हैं दैट इज़ ऑफ ग्रेड एट्स फर्स्ट चैप्टर, दैट इज़ क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन एंड मैनेजमेंट। So, before I start this chapter, I want to know in the comment box from you all, what is the population of India now? Nowadays, I mean currently, what is the population of India? Okay, so please answer this question in the comment box. And we all know that we require food for our daily activities. This food only gives us energy, and the food that we use, it comes from the farming lands, right? Our farmers, they work very very hard and they produce the crops and other vegetables and fruits, etc., etc., and from that we all utilize it. I mean, it comes to from the villages, it comes to the cities, and even in villages also it is utilized, but then it comes to cities and then we utilize it for our needs. Okay, so in this chapter, we are going to talk about agriculture, crops and its types, then agricultural practices, protection of crops, improving crop production. So the chapter is crop production and management. As I said that the population is growing day by day, and in order to meet the demand of the population or the food demand of the population, the crop production has to be managed. It needs to be managed because there is a shortage of food and that shortage needs to be managed. So it requires the management not only of production of the crop, it requires the management of that shortage and distribution of food as well. Okay, so in this chapter we'll start with agriculture first. Now this word agriculture, this is actually derived from Latin word agera and cultura. Okay, agera means fields or the farming lands, and cultura means to cultivate. Fine. Now what is agriculture? It is a practice of growing crops, or we can even mention growing plants rather than crops. Growing plants and rearing animals. On a large scale. Yes. So we all have pets. Most of us would have pets at our place, right? So we are also rearing animals, but then is that the part of agriculture? No, it is not, because we are not doing it on a large scale. Even in our balconies also we may be growing some vegetables and fruits, or maybe some other plants, but are we growing it on a large scale? So if we are not growing it on a large scale, then it is not agriculture. So it has to be grown on a large scale, right? This we need to remember. So it is a practice of growing plants and rearing animals on large scale for what? Maybe for food, then fodder, or other purpose. Sometimes it is also for fibers. We remember in grade 6 and 7 we must have studied that we are growing animals for fibers, and even plants are grown for fibers. So in grade 6 we have studied about plant fibers, and in grade 7 we studied about animal fibers. So plant fibers can be jute, cotton, etc., etc. So this is also grown on a large scale to meet the demand of the population. And even rearing of animals, this is also done on a large scale when we talk about agriculture. So why do we do it on a large scale? Because again the same thing, that we have to meet the demand of the population. Okay. Now, which fibers do we get from animals? Cotton, your silk, wool we get from animals. And which fibers do we get from plants? We get jute, cotton, etc., etc. from plants. Yes, so we have covered all this in our previous classes. Now, this is clear about agriculture. So we'll move to now crops. We all must have come across this word crops. So what basically crops are? Yes? What are crops? See, plants are grown at a particular place in on a large scale, right? So crops basically are the plants grown at a particular place in large scale for food, fiber and fodder. I've used this word earlier also, fodder. So can anyone tell me what does this fodder mean? Please reply to it in the comment box. What does this fodder mean? So fodder is basically the food that is used by the cattle, the animals, right? Now, crops, they are of few types. As I mentioned here, that we are going to discuss about its types also. So crops, they are divided into few types on the basis of, first is on the basis of seasons, and the second is on the basis of produce, right? So when I say seasons, in India, we all might have studied somewhere or know by now that mostly the crops, they are dependent, or mostly the farmers are dependent on the rain, the monsoon. Yes. So when we say on the basis of seasons, so the crops are of two types. One is the Kharif crops, and the second one is the Rabi crops, right? Kharif crops are such crops which require more amount of water for their cultivation, and thus they are, their plantation is done, or they are planted in the month of, June and July. Why June and July? Because these are the months when we have monsoon, when we have rain, and then they are harvested in the month of October. Okay? And Rabi crops, they are planted in the month of October and harvested in the month of April. Okay? Now, on the basis of produce. So, on the basis of produce, it can be, we have different types of produce. Like some crops are there which can be categorized as cereals, some crops can be categorized as pulses, some crops can be categorized as, seeds which give us oil, right? So, likewise, they are categorized as cereals, like, wheat, maize, etc. Then pulses, all those seeds which are pulses. For example, we eat tuar ka dal, then moong ka dal, right? All these come under the category of pulses. this is urad I have written. Then oil seeds. So oil seeds can be your groundnut, it can be mustard seed, etc., etc. They all are oil seeds. Then it can be cash crops. So cash crops are such crops which are grown for commercial purpose. Commercial purpose means they are grown in order to sell them and have money from it. Okay. For example, tea, coffee, etc. All these are cash crops. Even tobacco is grown. So I'm writing here tobacco as well. That is also a cash crop. I'm not sure what spelling of tobacco. Yes. Okay. And then they are grown for deriving fibers also out of it. So like jute, cotton, etc. All these are the crops which give us fibers, right? So this is what we have covered as of now. And if there is anything that you did not understand of whatever has been talked about just now, please write in the comment section. I'll certainly try to respond to your comments. And that's it for this session. In the next session, we'll discuss about agricultural practices. Thank you. Have a good day.